Hello and a very warm welcome to all on Game On. This is where you get your daily dose of all the sporting action from India and around the world. Let's begin with the IPL. And the Lucknow Super Giants' crushing defeat against Sunrisers Hyderabad on 8th of May didn't go down well with the team owner Sanjiv Goenka. The LSG owner was spotted having a heated conversation with skipper KL Rahul on the ground. Here's what happened, or what we think happened. Right after the match ended, Sanjiv Goenka appeared to be verbally bashing the skipper and the coach after the team lost the match by 10 wickets. It was the biggest loss in the IPL history as SRH chased down a 166-run target in just 58 balls. With 62 balls remaining in the innings, it is the most dominating win in the IPL in terms of balls to spare in 100-plus targets. Goenka, who is a very successful industrialist and also the co-owner of ISL runners-up Mohun Bagan's Super Giants, was not a happy man. In 2021, Goenka had bid over 7,000 crore rupees to buy LSG franchise in the IPL. According to several reports, Goenka will pay BCCI a franchise fee of 7,090 crores over the next 10 years. His franchise has done well too in the past, reaching the playoffs in its first 2 years under KL Rahul's captaincy. This year, however, things seem to be a little different. This year, though the playoffs hopes are not lost, LSG are in a tricky spot. The team is in the 6th position among the 10 teams. What does this mean? Was he right in doing what he did? This kind of public outburst by a team owner, what kind of precedent does it set for the future? Let's talk about it. I have Krishna Kumar in the studio with me. I also have Sumit Channa, two colleagues who are going to be with me to discuss this. And why we need to discuss this is because we are in the 13th edition and we've not seen something like this happen. Let me begin with Krishna. We've not seen something like this happen. And there are different layers to this. Let's discuss the first one. I'm sure there were conversations that that we're not privy to, that owners have with captains and players. But to do it in public with 20 cameras, was that right? Let's start with that and then we'll get into the other layers of this conversation.
Right, the two words that come to my mind, Meha, are sense and sensibility. These are not easy situations to tackle. You've spent over 7,000 crore rupees buying this franchise. I mean, Sanjiv Goenka is only paying over 7,000 crore rupees, 7,090 crore rupees in franchise fees to the BCCI. So he's the man who's pumped in all this money. And the second time around he's done an IPL. He's already done it with the rising Pune Super Giants franchise as well. So the question here to be asked is, in terms of sense and sensibility, what is happening with the corporatization of cricket? While corporatization of cricket means that much more money gets pumped into it, is cricket allowed to be the sport it's meant to be with all that money coming in? Yeah. And how are owners approaching handling a franchise? Because the moment that video of him speaking to KL Rahul in that heated manner came about, everybody was comparing about how other team owners are dealing with their own teams. This one got out. Why did Mr. Sanjiv Goenka have that conversation on the ground right after the match? Yeah. I'm not saying that he has no right to be disappointed with his team's performance, but was it the right time and right place to express his emotions, whatever they might be, to the captain of the team? And if you looked at KL Rahul's expression, I mean, that told the story. That conversation was something that Mr. KL Rahul was not happy having outside, not on the ground, not with so many cameras around, so many people around. If that conversation needed to happen, I'm sure it needed to happen. It needed to happen behind closed doors. And nobody would have had any issue with it if it had happened behind closed doors, even if Mr. KL Rahul got sacked at the end of it. Because you're talking about a man who had previously sacked MS Dhoni as the captain of rising Pune Super Giants just after a year of him being captain and replaced with Steven Smith. At that point, I'm saying that some decisions are not popular, but they need to be taken. We wanted a younger captain, that's why we went with Steven Smith. So, he's a corporate leader. He's allowed to take tough decisions, difficult decisions, unpopular decisions. But, you're talking about KL Rahul. Is he speaking the same way to his team, which hasn't performed for the day? How if he is not doing that with his team as a captain of a sporting team, how is the owner of the team, who's essentially the man behind the money behind the team, doing that, who's run so many businesses, 84th richest man, if I'm not mistaken, in the country, has won the Banga Bibhushan, the highest civilian honor in West Bengal, given to him in the year 2015. With all of that behind him, how did he let himself go? It still flummoxes me.
This also reminds me of the other incident that happened with Parth Jindal, Sumit, which is when Sanju Samson got out, and that was a controversial decision. People are still discussing whether that was out or not out, right? The Shea Hope catch and Parth Jindal and that celebration. Though later on, they put a little clip out where Parth Jindal was meeting Sanju Samson, and it was a very candid, nice little moment. But having said that, do you feel like this was almost something that was going to happen? It was only a matter of time, because we know that if that's the kind of money, if Lucknow Super Giants is in fact one of the most expensive franchise in in the IPL, this is going to happen. Owners are going to, ask you questions. You are accountable for your performances. And to be fair, that was a really shoddy performance by Lucknow Super Giants. My problem with this is that did it have to be done in front of everybody?
I absolutely agree with you, Neha. There's a reason why IPL is called cash-rich league. There's a lot of money involved in it. And Sanjiv Goenka, as the owner of Lucknow Super Giants, he was right in his way. He was right in his way. But as Krishna said, so he could have done it and dealt with the situation in a better manner. Maybe behind closed doors, maybe behind where cameras weren't following him. Humiliating, I would call this humiliation. Humiliating a player like KL Rahul. I think if you look at his stature, his personal performance in the IPL 2024, it's wonderful. He has scored around about 460 runs, I believe, in 12 games. And Lucknow aren't, at the downside. They are at the 6th spot with 6 wins and 6 losses. So yesterday's win, it was a failure. Definitely, it was a failure. But it could have been done in a better way. On the contrary, if you look at other owners, like for example, if you say Shah Rukh Khan, how Shah Rukh Khan deals with his team members, how he gives those prep talks, how he motivates them in the dressing room. That is what we have to see. So it could have been done in a better manner, and to save the image of KL Rahul, I think exactly.
He's somebody who's led India in all 3 formats.
He has.
The stature that he has. He's a senior cricketer. To see him stand there, almost like being scolded by a boss for not getting the numbers right, saying, "Kya kiya? What did you do?" And he's just patiently listening to him. It left a bad taste for cricket fans and for cricket followers. The other thing being, what's the impact that this is going to have on the team and on KL Rahul going forward?
Well,
clearly you are somewhere there in the, you are in a kind of a sticky position at this moment. You've got to win your games to qualify and then hope some of the other teams lose. But going forward, this is not going to be easy, for KL Rahul, mentally, for the team as well, just to motivate themselves and try and get back.
Right, and you have a big auction coming up next year, which
that
basically means that all of this, the writing is on the wall. What went on, it could eventually result in Mr. KL Rahul being let go of that team. Not just sacked as a captain, but like probably let go of him. Maybe you could find another team eventually. But to me, the larger problem is the way the owners are approaching their teams. Yes, this is a sport. Somebody who's owning a franchise has to have passion for the sport, passion to win. It's very important. All of that is there, and all of that is justified. But are other teams, other captains going through similar situations? That's the larger question that I have in my mind. This one got caught on camera.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how many other outbursts have happened between Sanjiv Goenka and KL Rahul.
Exactly.
How many other outbursts have happened between other franchise owners and the players?
True.
Shah Rukh Khan seems like seems like the exception in the scheme of things. The only one who everybody is being praised to high skies and all that. But is every other franchise owner, corporate franchise owner, you know, doing this to their team members, to their captain, to their coaching staff? Because this one was not just KL Rahul. You had Justin Langer standing next to him as well.
Yeah.
It was the coach and the captain.
Yeah.
So, and again, on the ground.
Yeah, and I think at one point KL Rahul even tried to explain what happened to Sanjiv Goenka, and he wasn't having any of it.
Yeah.
He was just upset how that team could have lost in the way they did. We're going to slip into a short break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation and what happens now to KL Rahul's future in the franchise. We also tried to contact Lucknow Super Giants, and what was their reaction to what has happened. We'll tell you when we return.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, you know, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, you know, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Welcome back. We're talking about the controversy in the match last night between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Lucknow Super Giants, where Sanjiv Goenka, who's the owner of Lucknow Super Giants, he was caught on camera scolding, talking animatedly to KL Rahul. And I mean, I got to hear it from sources within the Lucknow Super Giants camp that, look, you know, it can happen. It was in the heat of the moment. He was just asking him or telling him why something like this was happening with Lucknow Super Giants when Sunrisers were managing to play so well. So there was that conversation. He was trying to take stock of the situation. But having said that, this happened in public, and clearly it wasn't a very pleasant conversation, because at one point, as KL Rahul was trying to explain, you know, his point or his side of the story, Sanjiv Goenka was having none of it, or at least that's what it appeared to be on camera from what we saw. Now, Lucknow Super Giants, we tried to contact them and they said that the story didn't require any comments. So, said no comments for now. But, like I said, sources within the Lucknow Super Giants camp said this is something that you know, he goes, the owner of Lucknow Super Giants goes to the players and the coach and speaks to them when the team wins. He goes and talks to them when the team loses. That's the kind of relationship he has with the team and with KL Rahul. The other thing is also that was told to me was that you can see that there's nothing wrong between KL Rahul and Mr. Goenka when you see them in the next game. They have 2 games left right now in the group stages. They play Delhi Capitals and they play Mumbai Indians, and Rahul will continue to be the captain. So there are no, you know, sacking of KL Rahul or any of that. That has been clarified to me But of course, these are sources. Let me get back to Krishna as well as Sumit. And we were having this conversation about what this means, this corporatization of these franchises, and how this impacts players. And are we going to see more of this? And is that good for the game? But this is the monster, the beast that IPL is, right? With that kind of money involved. Sumit was talking about it as well. I'm just surprised that mostly when you go into something like this, you're passionate about the sport, and that's why you do it. Mr. Goenka also owns a football team, Mohun Bagan Super Giants, and they've actually done well in the IPL. So you're passionate. You also have to show compassion and empathy, which I felt was lacking in the way he was talking to KL Rahul. Because at the end of the day, you could, and which is the same case with, football leagues around the world. You could have the best players. You can buy the best players. It doesn't guarantee success. Look at what's happening with Manchester United. Look at what's happening with Chelsea. It does not guarantee success. So at a time when your team is down and out, they've been left stunned, the best thing you can do is just pat them on the back and say, you know what, you tried your best. And then later on, maybe a day later, 2 days later, you can have a real conversation and say, boss, your strike rate needs to improve, or you guys need to go for, big hits. Sumit?
Right, absolutely. And looking at Sanjiv Goenka's gestures during the game, I don't remember the in which over of the game it happened. So looking at the gestures, he was suggesting like his hands and his arms were moving, indicating that he was suggesting some change in the fielding. I mean, how do you stop a player like, a brutal player like Travis Head, who has set the IPL by storm? Right? How do you stop him? Head and Abhishek together, they slammed as many as I believe 14 sixes. Where do you keep the fielders? Out of the boundary rope? It's and one
also,
more
I think
thing,
the role needs to be defined. You're an owner, you're not the coach. You're not going to sit there and decide strategy for the team. And if you're doing that, then your coach, Justin Langer, the Australian great, doesn't need to be there. But let's also take this quote. And why I'm taking this quote is because if you watch that match and the post-match presentation, KL Rahul was actually stunned. From his face, he had this blank expression on his face. He had no idea what had just happened, in terms of the kind of beating they got. So this is what he said after the match. He admitted to being lost for words. He says, by Sunrisers batting, Sunrisers Hyderabad, they achieved their target of 166 in 9.4 overs, 62 balls remaining, and he said, and I quote, I'm lost for words. We watched that kind of batting on TV, but this is unreal batting. Everything seemed to find the middle of the bat. Kudos to their skills. They worked hard on their six-hitting skills. They didn't give us a chance to know what the pitch played in the second innings. This is KL Rahul, clearly left stunned, and on top of that, you're bombarding him with that kind of conversation saying, you should have done it better, which is my other thing. How can this be stopped? I mean, is that even possible? Because I'm wondering, I mean, BCCI, what's the kind of role that BCCI can play in this, given this is, at the end of the day, a BCCI property. Right. And like how players get reprimanded in through the IPL rules. Right. Can there something be done around this as well? I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I've not really thought it through, but I'm saying to make sure that that pressure or this kind of conversation or this kind of an incident doesn't get worse.
Right. There has to be that all-important Lakshman Rekha, that line has to be drawn between where the promoter or the owner of the franchise's role begins and ends, and where the players on the field, including the coaching staff and the support staff, where their role begins and ends, and when and where can these conversations be had. I mean, you have players getting reprimanded for the way they behave on field, in front of the cameras, in front of the audience who has come to watch the game. Why not the owners? Owners need to be held accountable from the way they behave as well. I mean, that's the same thing, right? The question that's being asked around this, it's not like any other business where like you've put in so much money, I'm supposed to get a certain amount of return. It doesn't work that way. You can, as you rightly pointed out, you can buy the best players, spend the maximum amount of money, and your team will not win. And that is the reality you have to deal with when you're investing in sport. And this is a guy who's invested in both football and in cricket, and one would have hoped that no, he had better wisdom when it comes to dealing with the way this kind of an investment. It's not like any other investment is made in any other business so far. This is completely different. This is sport that we're talking about. So yeah, definitely, if there are going to be rules for players and the way they behave and they conduct themselves on the cricket field, there has to be rules, and there has to be that thin red line drawn for promoters and the way they behave and the way they express themselves on the field.
I mean, you know, it's a simple thing. In the beginning, I remember when IPL had just started, you had owners sitting in the dugout. Now that doesn't happen. So, you know, there's a separate box for the owners and players remain separate. Similarly, I mean, there's got to be that line, like you said, there's got to be compartments, right? Where, okay, this is how far owners can go and promoters can go. And this is now what comes under players and management and coaches. Because next, I mean, what's next? That's the part that scares me.
You took the example of the English Premier League. Never does an owner sit anywhere close to the dugout of the players. It doesn't happen anywhere else. And even if that is the case, even if they come to watch the match, you know, they're not seen talking to the players or the coach or supporting staff right after the match is over on the football pitch. Why is that happening in cricket?
Absolutely. Okay. Food for thought. With that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, just a little bit more on this. What do you think about what happened between KL Rahul and Sanjiv Goenka? And you know, what can be done? Are we going to see other players, other captains possibly? Because I remember there was another one where in one of the games, Kolkata Knight Riders captain Shreyas Iyer came in at the toss and said, I have no idea why they decided it, but we're going to bat first. You remember that bit, and you wondered who's taking the calls. If you're the captain, why is it that you don't know who's deciding for you? So these questions, you know, in the past we've seen these kind of instances, and you want answers to these questions, and now this has been added to that. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, just a little bit more, so stay with us.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface, but not the living people?
We are trying a lot of experiments, innovations and ideas.
We came out with a new format in audio, which is audio series.
Listening for content-oriented company in India, which is a very unique proposition.
When we look at audio in general, we had music, which is like extremely old format, and then we had podcasts.
A natural extension to Pocket FM is to move from Hindi to regional content. I think I'd love to see their FY24 numbers, which they claim will be close to 1,000 crores. I think there are talks of them to raise another $80 to $100 million of funding.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back to Game On. Now, this is what happened in the match last night. It was a perfect 31st birthday gift from the Sunrisers Hyderabad's openers Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma to their skipper Pat Cummins, who combined to defeat Lucknow Super Giants by 10 wickets in a partnership of 167 of just 58 deliveries. Chasing a target of 166 to beat LSG, SRH got the job done in just 9.4 overs to record the highest ever 10-over score in men's T20 cricket, with Australia's World Cup final hero Head smashing 89 of just 30 balls and his opening partner Abhishek finishing on 75 from 28. This astonishing chase put in the shade the brilliance of Head and Abhishek's earlier exploits at the top of the order when batting first, and sets SRH up as serious contenders for the IPL title. The pair that had already put on a world record 125 in the power play overs against Delhi Capitals put on 107 inside the first 6 last night in Hyderabad and knocked off their target of 166 with 62 deliveries remaining. Head's unbeaten 89 contained 8 sixes, while the 23-year-old Abhishek hit 6 of his own maximums to record his best score of the season. Having won the toss and opted to bat, KL Rahul struggled to find momentum after a pair of brilliant catches gave Bhuvneshwar Kumar the early breakthroughs. Quinton de Kock, back in the 11, was exceptionally taken by a leaping Nitish Reddy at deep mid-wicket in the third over of the match, while in the fifth it was Sanveer Singh at mid-on with a diving catch to hold the ball an inch off the ground and send back Marcus Stoinis for 3. Rahul found himself stuck at the crease, scoring 29 of 33 before he tried to hit Pat Cummins for a 6, only to be taken at deep backward square leg. Cummins then nailed a direct hit to run out Pandya, after which a 99-run partnership between Ayush Badoni, who made 55 not out from 30 balls, and Nicholas Pooran with 48 from 26 got LSG to 165 for 4 in their 20 overs. It seemed a somewhat underwhelming total, but the way Head and Abhishek went about their job, even 250 might not have been sufficient. KL Rahul's blank look after the match, like I said, finished that summed up what had happened. LSG captain was left marveling, like I said. He said that he was lost for words. Krishna and Sumit are here, and these are avid cricket watchers, followers. That was unbelievable. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I'd just gone, you know, I wanted to help my son with his homework, and within 6 overs, it was 107. I said, the homework can be done later. Can we just watch the match? Sumit?
Whatever it was, it certainly wasn't cricket, Meha. It was baseball, I think. Such madness, such cruelty from Travis Head and Abhishek. Oh, it was absolutely top of the world.
Yeah.
You are getting to a score of 166 in just 9.4 overs, and that too without losing any wicket, any of your wickets. You're smashing bowlers all around the ground, mercilessly.
Yeah, and absolutely having no problem. No bowler in that LSG bowling attack troubled you. You were playing spin just as well as pace. And the wonderful thing was when both of them were asked about who plays spin better, they're like, no, but Travis plays much better than I do. And he said that Abhishek said that, or Travis said that Abhishek plays it much better. Okay, we're out of time, but Krishna and Sumit, thank you so much for joining us here on Game On.
Thank you.
Well, that's it then. On this special, hope, you know, this was thoughtful. This was something we could bring to you, which could start this conversation as to what next and how something like what happened between Sanjiv Goenka and KL Rahul be avoided. So with that, we say goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Film and entertainment is definitely one of the levers for any country to build its brand.
We are getting global. I feel that we're just on the takeoff.
More and more films are becoming language agnostic.
Content is a universal language.
There's one audience in the world.
Absolutely. End of the day, we all are like brothers who have mutual respect for each other from a different land.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Golf as a game, it is closest to the game that you call life.
You've got to use your mind. You cannot lose it.
The sharpest person is one who understands his limitations.
खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा बंदे से पूछे कि तेरी रजा क्या है.
You might have a bad break after a good shot. You might have a good break after a bad shot. But the fact remains, you got to play the ball from where it lies.
Watch Jeev Milkha Singh on Duologue with Barun Das, streaming on News 9 Plus.
पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री, आम आदमी पार्टी के बड़े नेता, इस वक्त आपके कंधों पर बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारियां हैं मान साहब, इसका अंदाजा है हमें, इसलिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया टीवी 9 भारतवर्ष के सत्ता सम्मेलन में आने के लिए।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। दिल की गहराइयों से आपका चंडीगढ़ में स्वागत भी है, होस्ट भी हैं हम, और पंजाबी जो है अपनी हॉस्पिटैलिटी के लिए माने जाते हैं, तो आपका भी और लाखों आपके जो दर्शक हैं वो देख रहे हैं, जहां भी देख रहे हैं सबको मेरी तरफ से नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल।
मान साहब, पहला सवाल इसी से शुरू करते हैं कि इस बार आपने जो नारा दिया है 13-0 का, 13-0,